Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I have time to get like a drink. Good morning. Good morning.
Rabbi Pape's not here.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering.
Okay. Good morning, Hannah. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. We have a new home aide came this morning. I had to show her around, and also I was having problems with my own laptop. Until I figured it out, I couldn't open up. But Baruch Hashem, I did figure it out. And who is here at the top? Somebody else is there. Oh, this is the class.
Hi, Rabbi Pape. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, let me get a book and we continue learning from where we left off yesterday. We are in chapter 6. We're discussing what does it mean, Tzad HaKadusha. The side of holiness is wherever the presence of Hashem is resting upon the person and the situation. I can't give you a page reference. If somebody has the page reference, you could tell the others. The nearest reference in terms of the date of learning is we're in the 6th of Tevis, 6 Tevet in a leap year. You got that? In your book. So you see the dates on the side of the page in the margin?
Are we in chapter 7 already then?
104.
6, chapter 6.
Oh, okay.
6 tables right there.
Okay.
Chapter 6.
104, page 104.
Page 104. So we're now coming over to page 105. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shaira, the Eibishter, Hashem, only dwells in a place that is bottle before him. We were discussing this very profound idea. What does it mean to be bottle before the Eibishter? He says, either like angels in heaven, they are obviously bottle before the Eibishter. They have no existence of their own. They're just extensions, messengers created by Hashem to fulfill his messages. For instance, the 3 angels came to tell Abraham, one to heal him. That's the angel Raphael is the angel of healing. And the angel Gavriel, like Gavura means strength, came to destroy the cities, the corrupt cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. They are totally bottled before Hashem, that is totally surrendered to the will of God. Another example of bittul is every single Jewish person. There's an extraordinary statement, what the Alter Rebbe says here, that every single Jewish person has the potential to be totally bottled to Hashem. Where do we see it? In over thousands of years, we've seen it again and again and again, that people have given up their lives rather than given up their religion. And would not, like in the story of Purim that's coming up in a couple of months, and usually normal 1 month, but there's a leap year, so it's in 2 months, how Haman, the wicked Haman, wore an idol around his neck, an image of an idol around his neck, and everybody had to bow down before him, and Mordechai would not bow down before him because it would mean bowing down before his idol, and the Jewish person would not bow down before an idol. Like the song that they sing for the children. Haman said to Mordechai, bow down to me. Said Mordechai, that I'll never do. I bow only to Hashem, Hashem Elohim, and I'm proud, so proud to be a Jew. And Jews have, throughout the centuries, have given up their life rather than bow down to an idol or accept idol worship or convert to a different religion. And it's the most extraordinary thing because it's not just religious Jews, it's not just righteous Jews, the tzaddikim of our time, the leaders of our time, we might expect it of them, but ordinary people people who are not learned people who never learned, who don't have the ability to learn, never got the Jewish education to be able to learn. But when push comes to shove, they give up their life, and they don't give up their belief in God and their connection to one invisible God, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And this is what he says here. This is the quality of bittul in the soul, the godly soul of every single Jew. And so you find Jewish people, and this is something that's in the mimer that we learn coming up. The big day, Yud Shvat, is coming up. Yud Shvat is the yahrzeit, the Yom Hilula of the passing of the previous Rebbe, and it's the day that the Rebbe's leadership of our generation began on the same day. There was no separation between these two. One ended, the other began, or one dovetailed into the other, and they both continued together with added strength. So he says there in the last thing that he gave us to learn, which is the Maimer Pasi Lagani, the previous Rebbe that says, this is why we see that a person will do it, many transgressions doesn't, maybe a person, heaven forbid, doesn't keep Shabbos, maybe they don't keep kosher, maybe they don't learn Torah, but in the end, all of a sudden, they give up their life. Or, as in recent history, so many, hundreds and thousands of occasions where before the evil monsters from Germany killed our family, ordinary, not religious people, not observant people suddenly had Mesiras Nefesh and went to the gas chambers with Shema Yisrael on their lips. Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. Where does that come from? And if that's where the belief is, so the question is, so then why weren't they religious? And this is the answer that's in the Tanya that we're going to learn now, and we're learning in the next chapter also, that the Friediger Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, explains at length, because the spirit of foolishness, which is another term for the other side, enters a person and says to a person, it's okay if you don't keep kosher. It's okay if you don't go to shul. It's okay if you don't keep the laws of family purity, or you don't keep Sabbath. Everything's okay. You're a good Jew. You give money to Israel. You're a good Jew. You know, you don't hide the fact that you're a Jew. You're not ashamed of being a Jew, but you're just not so observant. And it doesn't separate you from God. That's what the Yetzer Hara says. The other side says, and that's how it tricks a person to thinking, listen, I belong to a Jewish golf club. I belong to a Jewish athletic club. I belong to a Jewish social club where I can go to play gin rummy and my wife goes to play mahjong. So I'm a good Jew. That's what the Yetzer Hara tells a person. And he thinks, he believes the Yetzer Hara that he's not separated from God. And that's why he's not religious. But the truth of the matter is, that's only because of the promptings of the other side, the promptings of the evil inclination, the promptings of what we call the wise guy, in Yiddish, the Klugenker, the wise guy who tells you these things. But the reality of the Jewish person is that he has the potential deep inside, the innermost reality of our nature is to be totally bottled, given over to the service of Hashem, up to and including self-sacrifice, really. And we see this 6 million people. 6 million people gave up their lives just because they were Jewish. They didn't say, I'll be a Christian. Could have, but they didn't. Okay, so we're continuing. Lochein. Therefore, the sages taught us. Our sages, our holy teachers from the times of the Mishnah and the Talmud, even if there's one person all alone, sitting in his room, learning Torah, Shechina Sharuya, So we were defining yesterday at great length the idea of the Shekhinah, that the Shekhinah is the presence of God on a person who's doing a mitzvah. Therefore, the sages said, since this person has the potential to be totally devoted and given over to Hashem, so when he does a mitzvah, the Shekhinah is dwelling upon him. And when, like I said yesterday, when you go on the subway, the Shekhinah goes with you. When we went down to Egypt, the Shekhinah went with us. The Holy Temple was destroyed in Jerusalem, and the Jewish people were cast into exile, a very difficult exile, into poverty and persecution. But the Shekhinah went with them because they took Torah and mitzvahs with them. Good deeds and emunah, belief and confidence. So that even one person sitting learning Torah, the Shekhinah is with them. How much more so if you have 2 people or 3 people? If you have 10 people learning together or doing anything together, even if you have 10 people playing Jin Rami together, it says the highest ranks of angels cannot stand in their presence because of the tremendous holiness of the innate holiness of a Jewish person's soul. Continuing, exactly what we're talking about. If you have a congregation of 10 Jewish people, the Shekhinah is automatically present in kaviyus. That is, I'm looking for the right word for kaviyus. Kaviyus in a strong and established manner. Continuing, now looking back to the Yetzer Hara. What's the Yetzer Hara all about? Kol masheina batel. That's a Jewish person has this quality of bittul in his character, in the soul, in the holy Jewish soul, the nefesh elokis, the godly soul. This is the essence of the godly soul, is batel to Hashem. What if a person is not batel to Hashem? Well, then he's getting his life not from Hashem. The Shekhinah is not going to be dwelling with him, but the other side is going to be the source of his life. How can you have both? Well, it's like a war between the 2 sides. Which one is dominant? It's not the godly soul is destroyed or killed, but it's covered over like with a blanket. It's muffled under a blanket of snow, so that it can't express itself. If something is not bottle, in other words, when a person gives in to some temptation, let's say, what's an example? A person has to get up in the morning to say the brachas, to say his blessings, to say Shema before it's too late. And he's tired. And the Yetzer Hara tells him, it's okay. You're a good girl. You're a nice boy. You can sleep when you're tired. Sleep a little longer. It's okay. It's not a big transgression. You're not robbing a bank. You're not beating anybody up. You're just sleeping in. Okay. You're not fulfilling a mitzvah. If you're not fulfilling the mitzvah of saying your blessings and saying Shema in the morning, there's a time limit to it. It has an expiry date. Like Rabbi Gordon says, it has an expiry date. Yeah, we don't say Shema by, I think the time is like 9:40 nowadays. Say Shema by 9:40. Then you're not fulfilling a mitzvah. If you're not fulfilling a mitzvah, the Shekhinah is not with you because you're not doing the mitzvah. The Shekhinah is only in the place that's batel, where the person is doing mitzvahs. So if you have something that's not batel before Hashem, is Baruch, like Haman. If Haman is calling the shots in your life and he's saying, bow down to me, and all the Jewish people are bowing down because they're afraid of him. They're afraid they're going to lose their job. If you don't come to work, like when the Jewish people came to America 100 years ago, a person had to have a new job every week because if he kept Shabbos, came Saturday, he didn't come to work. She came in Sunday, and on Monday, the boss told him, you're fired. It was very, very hard because people had to pay rent and they had to buy food. and they had to provide clothing for their children, and they couldn't earn a living because if they kept Shabbos, their boss fired them. So maybe they would be overcome by the test, severity of the test of poverty, and they would go in on Shabbos. They wouldn't feel good about it, but they felt that they had to do it. So at that point, it's a spiritual exile that they're in, and they're not bottled to Hashem. That's a level of self-sacrifice that only comes when you're bottled. So as anything that's not bottled to Hashem, I'll give you another example. I don't like to talk about people not doing mitzvahs. But I remember one time when I was working on campus, so there was a Jewish guy who was the editor of the campus newspaper. It had a very large budget and got a lot of advertising. It was a very wealthy operation. There were like 30,000 students on campus. Five or 6,000 of them were actually registered as Jews. And I took him a matzah, shmura matzah before Pesach. Took him some shmura matzah. Oh, great. He says, I'm going to eat it tonight. I love shmura matzah. I said, please don't eat it tonight. Save it for the Seder. I'm going to eat it tonight, and I don't care. And if I'm doing something terrible, let Hashem, he held up his hands like this. And he said, let Hashem strike me dead. Heaven forbid. And he said, see? That's an example of what it means, someone who is not bottled before Hashem. Which is, I'm going to do what I want, and don't tell me to do what you think Hashem wants. Ella, okay, so if a person is not bottled before Hashem, continuing with the text, it says in the margin, number 3 teves. Tevet, 3 tevet. That's exactly where we are, okay? Ella hu davar nifrad bifnei atzmei, he feels that he is separate from God. I'm independent from God. I can call my own shots, and I can run my own life, and I don't have to be subservient to the Torah and what the Torah says. Here's what's the state? What does this mean? It means the life that he's drawing from is not from God. He's not drawing life from God at this point. He is drawing life from the Yetzer Hara, from the other side, from the wise guy, from the left side of his heart. All names for the same thing. Just like in the Torah, we read the story of Yaakov and his twin brother Esau. Twins. They came from the same parents. They were in the same womb. They were born the same day, minutes apart. Yaakov is described as a simple person, that is to say, sincere, who sat in the yeshiva, in the tents of the yeshiva, learning Torah and doing good things. And Esau is described as a hairy, beast-like kind of man of the fields who enjoys hunting and murder and is a wild, violent person. And the two of them are in conflict from before they were born. They were struggling even within the womb. And this becomes like a metaphor for the struggle between the godly soul and the animal soul. Obviously, in the end, the godly soul wins. There is an incident in the life of Yaakov, which you may have heard about, may remember hearing about it in your Hebrew school or Sunday school, that Yaakov is returning to the Holy Land with his family. Now he has wives, he has children, he's become a very wealthy person, he has flocks and herds, that was the wealth of those days. And he has to cross a river, and he takes in the night, he takes all of his belongings and his family across the river, and he goes back for some small jars that he left behind, which were very important to him. And suddenly a stranger comes at him in the darkness of the night and tries to kill him. And Yaakov wrestles with him, grabs him, doesn't let him throw him down, and they wrestle through the night. Until in the morning, this dark stranger says, let me go, I have to go. He says, why do you have to go? He says, because I'm really an angel. And I have to go daven. Surprising, very surprising incident. I have to go daven. So why do you want to kill me? He says, because I am the guardian angel of your brother, Esau. You understand what's going on. The psychologists and psychiatrists make a big deal about this. What does it really mean? Is this something within our own heart? Is this negative angel something in our own heart that we're struggling with? The Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde within our own character? And Yaakov says, I'm not letting you go until you give me your blessing. And so he does. And then when Yaakov meets his real brother and flesh and blood brother, Esau, who comes to kill him with an army, Esau is unmanned. And he lunges at Yaakov to kill him, and instead he embraces him. Because spiritually, he defeated him in that night of wrestling. Well, that wrestling match between the good side and the negative side, between the side of light and the side of darkness, that takes place in the heart of every one of us, the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart, the way that Tanya is going to talk about it. And this is a description of what it says. The other side is not bottled to the Eibishter. That is the dark angel who comes to create obstacles and problems and challenges to us when we go to do a mitzvah. So, for instance, you meet a nice girl who brings you to Mechon Chana and introduces you for the first time, to the beauty of Shabbos, and you light a candle and it's great, and you love it. But after a while, maybe it starts to wear off, and you start thinking to yourself, did I jump in too quick? Do I really mean this? Do I really believe in this? It comes to cool you off. Okay, what is that force within you that comes to cool you off? That's from the left side of your heart. That's from the dark stranger within you that comes to, and to this, you have to overcome. And to overcome this, you have to learn Tanya. And you have to hang around with good friends who are going to encourage you to keep on, to persevere in the way of Torah and mitzvahs, because this is how we connect to everything that's good and true and right in life. Moving on. So a person who doesn't have this quality of bittul, well, we just said every person has this quality of bittul. Okay, but it's covered over. If it's covered over, so we say he doesn't have it because he's being dominated by the other side. And therefore, the Tanya says about him, he feels that he's someone independent, nifrad, separate, unto himself alone. That he's the sole arbiter of his values and his judgments. And there have been nations which have espoused this philosophy. But if we see how they behave, eventually they behave with great cruelty. Like an example of this nowadays is the popular idea that is taking root in Western society and in China and other places is that we should kill our newborn children or prevent them from being born with the excuse that the world is overpopulated. So therefore we have to prevent people from being born. Well, that's not God's wish. The first commandment in the Torah is to pru ravu, to have children and to populate the world that with people doing good things, doing mitzvahs, to make the world a holy place, a dwelling place for God. But that's an example of the struggle between light and darkness, between good and bad. So when a person declines to do a mitzvah, there are averas that you do negative things. You hurt somebody, you embarrass somebody, you steal something from somebody. And there are averas, there are transgressions, not of doing, they're transgressions of omission, where you don't do. You fail to do the right thing. Someone cries for help and you turn your back. Get a job. Don't bother me. Yeah. So at this point, the person is not receiving his life from the good side, from the holiness of his godly soul, but from the other side. Okay. And now it goes on a little bit more about this. He's not receiving his life from the side of holiness, and he continues with this. Mi bechinas panimius hakadusha. Holiness, everything has a body and a soul, an inside and an outside, an inner reality, an inner sincerity, and a superficial side to it. So if a person isn't getting his life through doing mitzvahs, through doing good things from holiness, that means he's getting his life from the opposite of holiness. Holiness means getting your life from the inner essence of holiness, of God, of God's. Holiness comes from Hashem. That's called kedusha, holiness. Panemius is from the root of the word panim, which means the face. Like we say about a child, oh, what a sheina panim, what a beautiful child, what a beautiful face this child has. Or when a father picks up a child and plays with the child, he holds the child in front of his face. And he talks to the child and says funny things, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, to the child, that the child will understand his sounds. He kisses the child, or mother kisses the child face to face. But if you don't like somebody, what do? You turn your back on them. Or you give them something. If you're forced to give something to an enemy, someone you don't like, you give it to them with the back of your hands. And in a backhand, that's called a back. You compliment. Someone does a good job, but you don't like them. So you have to give them a compliment, but you don't do it in a warm way, facing them, smiling, encouraging. You give them what's called a backhand compliment. Yeah, I guess it was okay what you did. Could have done a lot better. That's a backhand compliment. So-and-so did it. Yeah, oh yeah, you did okay playing that role. But last year, so-and-so played it. She did a much better job. Well, thank you very much for not giving me a compliment. You made my day. Okay, that's the meaning of the word panemius. Panemius means inwardness, face to face, with a smile and a compliment. So a person who's not doing a mitzvah, not only the Shekhinah doesn't dwell with him in its panemius, its innermost in sincerity, umahusa, in its innermost essence, atzmusa, in its glory and its essence. There are 4 terms here that in English they all translate as essence. What does he say in English in the translation? The inner aspect of holiness from its very essence and core, okay? But from the hinder part, from the other side, there's a shiordim, which comes down through. Now, remember, we spoke about the great chain of creation. How we have like a link chain where you have links. You have links in a chain where the lower aspect, the lower part of one link becomes the upper part of the link below it. And the lower part of that link becomes the upper part of the links below that. So this is a symbol of how life comes into this world through level after level after level. In each level, the amount of light and energy is less. And the capacity for covering the light is greater. The ideal is where we have stability, where the vessel to hold the light is just right, just at the right level. Like when you adjust the water in your shower, that it's just the right warmth, not too hot, not too cold. So we want this level of stability where the vessel for holding holiness can take it and not be overwhelmed. And the holiness is not so great that it smashes the vessel or it's overwhelming, it's not too little, that it's not enough, that we feel deprived, we feel hungry, thirsty for more. So it has to, so the life comes down level after level after level through the great chain of being, the great chain of creation. That's called Hishtalshalus, like that means a chain of the worlds. And we spoke about this. We didn't really speak about this yet. So maybe we'll continue again next week. We'll start here with the whole idea of the great chain of worlds, from worlds that are connected to God, totally godly worlds, down to this world where godliness is so hidden that it's a total hiding, based on the whole concept that if God doesn't hide, there's no place for the world to exist. So to get to this point where we live, where we don't see godliness all around us, because godliness is very, very hidden. The word for world itself means a hiding, because the creation of worlds demands that godliness should be hidden. And the paradox or the challenge of our life as Jews is that God's desire is that in the world where he's most hidden, that's where he wants his holiness to be revealed. And the place for this is in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and the Holy Temple, which we make out of our home, and the Holy Temple, which we make out of our day-to-day life. Have a great Shabbos, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on the Zoom. And look forward to seeing you Monday.
Hi, bye.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hey, hi, everybody.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, someone, Ariel, maybe you'll take attendance. I'll put it on the sheet.
Yes, already.
Okay, Nia, okay, we'll be in touch. I'm going to close the Zoom now.
Thank you.